Hi Bobcats. In this video we're going to take a look at revisit the motion of gas particles. We've been talking about the kinetic molecular theory and the motion of gas particles throughout this entire chapter. Just want to revisit that a little bit and describe two processes, diffusion and effusion, and describe these processes in terms of what's going on with the gas particles. Your textbook goes into a lot more detail on any of these things. It has some really nice graphs showing all of these things. What I'm going to do with this video is just hit the highlights of this. In any sample of a gas, the particles move at a distribution of speeds. That means that some particles move faster than others, but their average speed is directly proportional to the temperature in Kelvin. So that means that the average speed is going to be faster at higher temperatures. Now, if we're talking about two different samples of a gas that are at the same temperature, the kinetic energy has another term in it. It's not just the speed, it's also the mass. And so if we have two different samples with different masses that are at the same temperature, the sample that has a lighter mass has to have particles that are moving faster than the particles of a heavier gas in order to keep that kinetic energy term the same. Diffusion happens when one gas is mixed into another gas. An example of this might be if you open a sealed container that has something fragrant and that aroma fills the entire room. You know, that might be you had a candle that was sealed up, or you might have a bottle of perfume or something like that. And then once you open it, if you're very close to it, you immediately smell it. But if you're over on the other side of the room, it takes a while for that smell to get there. Well, think about what those particles are doing. How are those gas particles moving? Well, the gas particles that carry that aroma are moving in random directions at a variety of speeds in straight line paths. So if you're close to that bottle, they make it to your nose very quickly so that you can smell them. But if you're on the opposite side of the room, they have to bounce off walls, bounce off furniture, bounce off other gas particles, and travel on these random paths until eventually they have filled the entire room. Now, if you want to see a model of this happening, use that FET gas simulation that we talked about in an earlier video. Do a single pump of some of the blue gas and give it enough time that it's completely filled the container. Then switch over to the red gas and add one pump of the red gas and watch what happens as the red gas mixes with that blue gas and eventually fills the container. That process of mixing and filling that container is diffusion. If you want to see what happens or how mass influences that, you can repeat that simulation, but this time do the red gas first, followed by the blue gas. The blue gas is heavier, the red gas is lighter. And so you can see pretty clearly how the lighter gas actually diffuses faster than the heavier gas because the lighter gas is moving faster. Effusion is another process that gases will do. This is what happens if you have a tiny hole that connects your sample of gas into a vacuum. And once again, we'll find that lighter gases effuse faster than heavier gases do. So our objective here was to describe diffusion and effusion in terms of the motion of gas particles. Hopefully you watched that FET simulation to explore diffusion. The bottom line for both of these is that heavier gases move more slowly than lighter gases, and so that means when it comes to diffusion or mixing and effusion, or the progression of a gas into a vacuum, the lighter particles will do it faster compared to heavier particles.